cold spray of the North Atlantic crashing against the side of a wooden longship. The oars creak, the sail groans, and the wind cuts like knives. Ahead, beyond the mist and endless waves, a new shoreline emerges, a land of deep forests, wild grapes, and strange promise. Long before Columbus ever dreamed of crossing the Atlantic, a Viking stepped ashore on the coasts of North America. His name was Leif Erikson, son of the fiery outlaw Eric the Red, and he would become the first known European to set foot on the continent nearly 1,000 years before the age of exploration. His journey was one of courage, legacy, and curiosity, bridging the fierce world of the Vikings with the boundless mystery of the Western Ocean. Leif Erikson was born around 970 CE, most likely in Iceland, the rugged island where Norse settlers carved out lives amid volcanic rock and icy seas. He was the son of Eric Thorvaldsson, better known as Eric the Red, a man famed for both his temper and his daring. Eric had been exiled from Norway for manslaughter, then from Iceland for the same crime, and ultimately sailed west to discover Greenland, where he established the first Norse settlements. Leif grew up in this world of exile and discovery, watching his father transform banishment into opportunity. His mother, Theodild, provided a steady influence, but it was Eric's boldness that left the deepest mark. Leif inherited his father's restless spirit, but he would temper it with thoughtfulness, a balance that set him apart. When Leif was still a child, Eric the Red led their family to Greenland. The voyage was perilous, pushing through dangerous seas and ice-choked waters, but it opened new lands for the Norse. In Greenland, Leif grew up among settlers who relied on farming, hunting, and trade to survive. Unlike Iceland, Greenland's climate was harsher, and survival required constant resilience. The young Leif learned seamanship, navigation, and leadership from his father. But he also learned diplomacy, necessary for holding together fragile settlements in a hostile environment. By the time Leif reached adulthood, he was already recognized as strong, tall, and capable, qualities prized among Vikings. But he was also known for being measured and thoughtful, in contrast to his father's fiery temper. This balance made him a natural leader. Leif's ambitions, however, extended beyond Greenland. He longed to see the wider world, to test himself on voyages that went farther than anyone in his family had gone before. Opportunity soon came when he traveled east to Norway. Around the year 999, Leif sailed from Greenland to Norway, where he entered the court of King Olaf Tryggvason. Olaf was a zealous Christian ruler who sought to spread the new faith throughout Scandinavia. Leif, raised in the Old Norse pagan traditions, encountered Christianity for the first time in Olaf's court. The king was impressed by the young Greenlander's strength and intelligence. Leif converted to Christianity under Olaf's influence, and the king tasked him with returning to Greenland to spread the new faith among the settlers. This mission would forever link Leif's name not only to exploration, but also to transformation. On his return journey to Greenland, Leif's fate took a dramatic turn. According to the saga of the Greenlanders, his ship was blown off course, drifting far to the west. There he sighted a new land, a place with fertile soil, forests, and wild grapes. Though some sagas suggest Leif deliberately set out to explore after hearing stories from others, all accounts agree on one point. Leif Erikson became the first European to set foot in North America, nearly 500 years before Columbus. Leif and his crew explored the new land and established a settlement they called Vinland, likely named for the wild grapes that grew there. The location of Vinland remains debated, but most historians believe it was somewhere in present-day Newfoundland, Canada. The sagas describe Vinland as a place rich in resources compared to Greenland. Timber was abundant, the land was fertile, and game was plentiful. For the Norse, who struggled in Greenland's harsh conditions, Vinland represented opportunity. Leif and his crew built houses and wintered in Vinland, exploring its coastlines and testing its resources. Unlike later European expeditions, Leif's journey was not about conquest or colonization, but discovery. After exploring, he returned to Greenland with tales of the new land and a cargo of valuable timber and grapes. The news spread quickly among the Norse settlements, inspiring later expeditions, though none would establish lasting colonies. Still, Leif's achievement was monumental. He had expanded the known world for his people. Leif's story cannot be told without the shadow of his father. Eric the Red had discovered Greenland, and Leif had discovered Vinland. The father and son pair embodied the Viking spirit of exploration, though their personalities differed sharply. Leif was also a devoted son. When Eric the Red fell ill before an expedition to Vinland, Leif took command in his place, leading the journey that would secure his place in history. Though Eric never saw Vinland himself, his legacy lived on through his son. True to his promise to King Olaf, Leif returned to Greenland not only as an explorer, but also as a missionary. He preached Christianity among the settlers, and his mother, Theodild, became one of his first converts. She even had a church built near their settlement, one of the earliest in the Americas. Leif's father, Eric, however, resisted conversion. He clung to the old Norse gods, representing the generational divide between tradition and change. Leif's efforts nonetheless marked the beginning of Christianity in Greenland. Leif Erikson eventually settled back in Greenland, taking responsibility for his father's estate after Eric's death. Known as Leif the Lucky, a nickname he earned for his good fortune at sea, he became a respected leader of the community. Though he never returned to Vinland, his journey remained legendary among the Norse. Other expeditions followed, including those led by his siblings and other Greenlanders, but none achieved lasting success. For centuries, scholars debated whether Vinland was real or merely a saga's tale. Some believed it a myth until archaeological evidence emerged in the 20th century. The discovery of Norse ruins at Lons aux Meadows in Newfoundland confirmed that Vikings had indeed reached North America around 1000 CE. This discovery vindicated the sagas and cemented Leif Erikson's place as the first European known to reach the continent. Leif Erikson's voyages faded from widespread memory as European focus shifted elsewhere, but he remained celebrated in Icelandic and Greenlandic traditions. When Columbus sailed west centuries later, he unknowingly followed in Leif's footsteps. In the modern era, Leif has become a symbol of exploration and cultural exchange. Statues of him stand in the United States, Iceland, and Norway, honoring his achievement. His story reminds us that history is broader than a single narrative and that exploration has many heroes. Facts about Leif Erikson. Leif was nicknamed Leif the Lucky for surviving storms and voyages others did not. He was the son of Eric the Red, the founder of Greenland's Norse settlements. Leif converted to Christianity under King Olaf Tryggvason in Norway. His mother, Theodild, built the first known Christian church in Greenland. Leif's voyage to Vinland occurred around 500 years before Columbus. He likely landed in Newfoundland, Canada, though the exact site remains debated. Archaeological evidence at Lons aux Meadows supports his saga's account. In the United States, Leif Erikson Day is celebrated on October 9th. He was considered taller and stronger than most men of his time. His voyages inspired later legends of Viking exploration across the Atlantic. Leif Erikson's life was shaped by the Viking Age's relentless push into the unknown. Born into exile, raised in harsh lands, and tested by the sea, he carried forward his father's legacy while carving out his own. His discovery of Vinland stretched the boundaries of the known world, reminding humanity that curiosity and courage often lie at the heart of progress. Though he never built an empire or claimed territories, his quiet resilience and daring voyage left a mark on history as profound as any conqueror. Leif Erikson was more than just a Viking explorer. He was a pioneer whose footsteps reached the New World long before others dared to dream of it. As waves still break against the coasts of Newfoundland, one can imagine the creak of Viking ships and the steady gaze of Leif the Lucky, looking westward, daring the sea to reveal its secrets. His story endures as a testament to adventure, faith, and the unquenchable human desire to see what lies beyond the horizon.